starting to talk, forgetting to record.
All right. No,
And then I have to re-record the lecture after.
I'll move my phone.
I won't say it's a menopausal brain, but something.
So should I introduce you?
Yes.
Or you can introduce yourself?
I'll introduce myself and you guys can introduce him.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Bernadette Bekker. I run and own the Herbal Energy Centre that produces Homeobotanicals. I've had the company, I've taken on the company in 2007. Before that was the original owners, Brian and Amy Murray. And when I took on the company at that stage, Brian was worried that his modality would die with him. And he put it out to tender and Universe gave it to me. So I've never worked so hard in my life. But before then, I studied, I'm a qualified naturopath, herbalist, and aromatherapist. Now, I'm old school when we had diplomas. I have not had the time to upgrade to a degree. You know, I've run naturopathic organisations for 17 years and worked for my profession as a whole. And time to do a degree has not fitted into doing that and running everything else. So I'm behind the 8 ball. So you ladies will know more than me. Doesn't that make you feel good? I am not a trained, or I do not consider myself a homeopath in any way, shape or form. When I did my studies, I did the equivalent of 1 year of homeopathy studies as part of my naturopathic and herbal diplomas. So I have the basics. I have some amazing homeopathic friends that if something comes up, I'll go out and check what they think and bring it back in. And until one of my old tutors died, she was my main call. When I took over the business, I would bring her in and say, this is how I'm making the formulas. Brian says it's this potency. I consider it this potency. Where does your pattern sit? And so it's been a really greatest honour and a real learning curve. When you take on a business like this, believe me, you never stop learning. Did you realise that when you signed up for studies that you were learning for the rest of your life? And if any of you are going up into Brisbane next month for the Homeopathic Conference, you'll see me there too. So if you're there, make sure you come up and say hi. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background. I know that you ladies are running a dispensary and you've got a couple of students sitting in with them.
Yeah, so Kristen and I are at their final year students. So you're about to finish.
Yeah, 6 more months.
Well
6 more months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, Linlee and I have been working. Well, it's Linlee's clinic for
33 years.
33 years. And I've been with the Harvard Homeopathic Clinic in one form or another for I think about 21 years.
Yeah, my diplomas are dated 2000 and 2001.
Yeah.
You've been a little bit more than me.
You're in good company here. Yeah, mine's from 2004. Yours are probably
1990.
1990.
Oh, well done, girl. And, you know, it is an amazing modality. To give you a little bit of background of Homeobotanicals before I pull up all the notes, it was started over 40 years ago. Actually, it's 40 years since Brian sold the first kit of Homeobotanicals to a practitioner. The lady was Kathleen Keith, and she is a naturopath who uses a lot of homeopathy in her practice. And she is now turning 83 this year, and she's still in practice and does 3 or 4 days. Yes, she gives herself bigger gaps in between clients now and not back to back, but she's still in practice 3 to 4 days a week. So it is a profession, not a job. So Brian had started in early 1980s putting the formulas together, and it came about because they were working in the poorer parts of Auckland, South Auckland and West Auckland, where by the time people paid to see the herbalist and the naturopath, they could not afford the formulas. And so they started looking at ways they could deal with it. And so that's what we've got today. Now, I threw out an awful lot of information to you guys. We may or may not get to cover everything, but it gave you more leads to go into it deeper if you so desire. So I'm going to do a share screen now. Here's my other screen. Didn't I save you? Oh, okay. Go away. One of my staff has been working on here, and the one I can't find, I'll go back out and go in because it just find the one that close those. Too many screens up there. Not what I'm looking for. Okay. I'll go in and do it another way. Okay. Oh, I'm not going to do it another way. Universe, it's definitely Friday. I'm working off this presentation. That's going to be the easiest way. Okay. Share. Okay. So, yeah.
Can I just ask, Bernadette,
Yeah.
you know Liz Layla?
Sorry?
Do you know Liz Layla?
Yeah, Layla, yeah.
Layla, is she the one, are these the same ones that she uses?
She uses Homeobotanicals along with Homeopathics as part of her fertility program, yeah.
That's right, yeah, so she uses the ones from you guys.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Unless she's changed her system and I haven't heard, but yes, she uses
Okay.
Homeobotanicals. And I usually get a run of homeopaths in the UK after she's just done a talk.
Yes, yeah, because we've got them at the clinic, so I just wanted to place them and make sure that they're the ones that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on how old your range is, there could be a slight change in name or coding, like the CNV and FSA are now known as a number rather than the letters, but I can send you extra information across.
I wouldn't know it in that much detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just seen them at the clinic, used them a couple of times.
Yeah, what I love them is, and this is probably shooting the gun, you can use them from really young babies to the elderly and everything in between. My grandchildren got their first lot of Homeobotanicals when they were less than 6 hours old. They were traumatic births, and this is not playing ball with me, but because I can't get rid of that sides, but that's okay. We'll live with it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll live.
The Homeobotanicals is a hybrid. It combines herbal combinations and uses the principles of homeopathy. It is not using a true dilution as per Hahnemann's instruction, where you put 1 drop Succuss and dilute it again in Succuss. It's not doing that way, but we're using the principles of dilution, succussion are involved. It's a practitioner-only range. So if you find it on eBay or Trade Me or any weird place, let me know and I'll go after I'll try and get it taken down. It has happened once or twice in New Zealand where someone has used the word Homeobotanicals.
Don't know. Yeah. How do you, is there like a supplier that you go through, like Vitally or
At the moment, you order it in from New Zealand. It normally takes, unless customs are doing the go slow, it normally gets to you within 2 to 3 working days.
Okay.
Okay, and that's from your website?
Yeah, from our side.
Okay.
A WA could be an extra day or 2 on top of that, but normally it's a really fast turnaround. Sometimes it can even be faster than that. I've had one that just got through to Canberra and it was, they're out for delivery the following day. And the lady is going, whoa, this is really fast. And I go, yeah, you can't always see it.
And what's the cost of sending it to Australia? Because usually postage is quite high, isn't it?
We subsidise it. So as long as you're ordering 6 or more, it's around $37. If it goes on weight, that's up to 2 kilos. 37 for up to 1 kilo, and then above that, we're adding a couple of extra dollars to cushion it.
Yeah.
And the other thing we recommend is that you don't order over, or you keep your orders under $1,000 New Zealand.
Mm.
Otherwise, customs will hit you with an import duty.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, if you do one, normally if it's one of the usual team, we contact you and go, hi, you want us to break up in 2 orders and you pay an extra little delivery fee, or do you want to risk it? And because you're the one who's going to have to make that call, not us. But we encourage you just to be aware of the issue. Normally the New Zealand dollar is under there. So I always say, keep it around 900 or below if you're doing a big order. If you've got a really, really big clinic and use lots of products, as well as the 50 ml bottles of concentrate, we do a 500 ml as well, which some practitioners find that's the easy way to go. But unless you're it's not worth it.
Okay, that's good. And I noticed you've got there that it doesn't interact with medications.
Yeah. Because we've diluted in Sakasa, it's become more an energy medicine. So you need to be aware of drug herb interaction just to more make your client feel comfortable. And if you use one of the Australian ladies, she was a homeopath and she was using F and a client didn't want black cohosh in it. And she said, yes, we went to the data sheet and said, yes, that's in our materia medica, and said, yes. If we were using a herbal tincture, it is contraindicated. But because it's Homeobotanicals and it's more homeopathic, we have that bigger area of range. The only time I wouldn't give out a Homebotanical is if it was someone who had an organ transplant and we were dealing with rejection drugs. Simply because I don't think there's enough information out there to make a call one way or another. I know while people are waiting for organ transplants, Homeobotanicals have been used and used successfully to help them. But yeah, it is one of those things that it is a little bit of a unknown. Mind you, not many of our clients come into our clinic. That group of patients tend to be very much in the medical strain because of what they've gone through and everything. So, but after having colleagues who have waited for an organ transplant, there's no way in hell I would do anything to endanger them. So that is the only time I don't. If they're on a lot of medication, and we will go through this, I tend to start on the lower ends of the normal range. Like the normal adult range is between 3 and 10 drops 3 times a day. I would start them at 1 drop 3 times a day and slowly build them up to 3 drops 3 times a day if we could. In clinic, I very rarely go over 5 drops 3 times a day. And if you've heard Liz Layla speak, she tends to go to the higher end. She'll often start people at 10 drops 3 times a day. But I believe very much of Schultz's law, which is the least amount required to create a reaction in the body. So that's what I've always run my practice on since I graduated. So that's how I tend to go. And as I said, in clinic, I very rarely go over the 5 drops. I might increase the frequency occasionally, but, you know, it tends not to be an issue. Now, Homeobotanicals has a very high complicity for our clients in the fact that they taste good. And it's not like having a herbal tincture. In fact, sometimes they taste too good. We have had a child who had swallowed a whole 25 ml bottle of her formula because, you know, she'd had a bad experience with herbs. So I kind of said, I use number 13 quite a lot, which over here we nickname rainbow drops. And I go, do you like rainbows? And she said, yes. And I said, this has got all the colours of the rainbow in, especially for you. So Mum had done the right thing. She'd put it on top of the fridge. Little girl got the chair, got up onto the bench, got to the top of the fridge and swallowed the whole lot. And I had a very young mother ring me up, quite distressed, and said, no, don't need to go to the hospital to get the stomach pump. And I said, expect some diarrhea, and ring me if you're concerned. But, you know, in the middle of the night, if it's an emergency, you can do that. I'm really strange like that. If it's not an emergency, God help you. You know, she rang me first thing in the morning and said, you were right about the diarrhea. By the way, the cold's gone. Now, we don't recommend that our younger clients do this, but the reality is the body read it as 1 dose, albeit a really big dose, but 1 dose. But that would never, or very rarely would that happen with a herbal tincture, because usually the taste of it, the kid would take one mouthful, spit it out and go running the other way. Or it could be just the formulas I've hit over the years, one of the 2. But yeah, it is one of those. Now, as you can see, I've got down here that it's suitable for all clients, including those on medications like antidepressants or warfarin, but you'll just start low. Start at the 1 to 3 drops. If you're really good at reading a patient's vitality or you muscle test, then you'll be able to fine tune it. But if not, just, you know, I often start at 1 drop 3 times a day for 3 days, and everything going all right. Then they go up to 2 drops 3 times a day for 3 days, and then up to 3 drops 3 times a day. But if anyone has a reaction or feels that it's too heavy on their system, not really a reaction, but just we're moving things too fast, I just slow it down and go back, and if necessary, start them off at 1 drop daily and slowly bring them up. A client's vitality is the one thing we can't teach you. It's something that you're going to have to develop over time. I had sent through a chart. So as you can see, you can mix and match to suit your client's condition. When you're starting out, we recommend that you only put in 3 or 4 formulas into a bottle maximum. And if your client has various issues and you want to cover more than that, I would dispense a 2nd bottle so that we can separate the 2 if there's an issue. If you're my daughter gets a lot of my lectures. My daughter's a senior nurse. She's in Australia. I won't say which state. And she doesn't really believe what her mum does. And so I've usually only got 24, 48 hours to get a change in her. So I have been known to give her a 50 ml bottle with up to 10 formulas in there. And usually I'm there squirting it down her throat, you know, and to get a result fast. But I wouldn't do that normally to my clients. But it's your family. Oh, why not? As one of my old homeopathic tutors said years ago, it's our family's duty to be guinea pigs for science. And so they don't really get a change. But yeah. Now, at the moment, golden sea is a little bit hard to get as a herb. And that is, Mediherb has got some and they cultivate their own, but they've just moved to locations for the plants. So it could be up to 2 to 3 years before they're back into full production. So any formula that has golden seal on it, if for some reason we can't get it when it's due to be manufactured, or we're making up a fresh batch, then we're swapping it with barberry. We did try cactus, but it didn't feel right energetically on any level. So I've dumped that one. Actually offered the bottle to what I had to the naturopathic college in Auckland, saying, use this. There you go. So waste not, want not. Kola nut was a very old herb, and downside of things on herbs, if herbalists don't use it enough, we lose a herb. So it's not often because it's endangered or something, it's just we haven't used it enough. So kola nuts disappeared, and we're now swapping that with green tea. And there's the drop dosage. The adult one, and even the kids, depends on vitality. If you've got someone who's got a low vitality, you can go lower if you need to. But generally, most people can handle 3 drops 3 times a day. Most of that I've covered, except that the concentrates that we sell you are of a common potency. Now, remembering that they're not a true homeopathic, so I'm going to use the word equivalent to a 2x. And when you dilute it and succuss it for your client, it's what I'm going to consider equivalent to a 3x, but they're much more physical content than your normal 2x or 3x. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. There's over 50, there's 64 actually in there, 65 if you continue one that I had discontinued. And then the old naturopath came at me at conference and said, "You can't stop making this one." And I go, "Why not? It's not selling anything." And they sell, less than 10 bottles of it a year. And she said, "Oh, was it me that was just buying it?" So I have made small amounts for her as, it's Kathleen Keith, and I'm not about to argue with her. She carries the mantle of regalcy when you meet her. And, I just say, well, if you're giving a lecture on Homeobotanicals, you've got to mention how you use this formula. So she does that every time she's talking to students and practitioners. The range has been designed to make it nice and easy for you in clinic. Originally, Homeobotanicals started out as all single formulas, and then Brian and his team of fellow naturopaths and homeopaths work together to make sure that, because no one can have 1,000 bottles of herbs on the shelf, it's ridiculous, to put them into systems to make it easier and faster for us. I used to say it was idiot proof, but unfortunately we're breeding better idiots nowadays. So it does require a little bit of common sense, or due diligence as it's now called, duty of care. But generally, if you don't understand herbs, it's a nice, safe way of doing it. If homeopathy isn't your forte, it's a nice way of combining herbs with energy medicine. So it's a good hybrid. And we sell it as concentrates, and you dilute it in succussant. And if you've read through your notes, I've included on different ones on how I can do. We do have some single herbs as well. I've culled the range quite a bit since I've taken over the company, because they had some wonderful old herbs like lily of the valley and different things, which was great if you were a senior herbalist and knew how to use it safely. But most people didn't fall into that category, so I withdrew temptation. It also saved me a lot of legal work. Okay. The indications that are in the Materia Medica for each ingredient has been taken from herbal and homeopathic literature. Now, I believe you have a Materia Medica in your dispensary.
Lots.
Yeah. Have you got the Homebotanical one?
Oh, sorry.
Or has
No, I don't
Sarah
think
kept it at home?
Oh, Sarah might have it for her
Yeah.
home clinic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
She works at home and here, yeah.
She's probably got it.
Yeah. Get it next time she's in to show you it, because it has, anytime we couldn't find a homeopathic indication that matched that formula, because we're only using a couple of the books, we've put none documented. So I did have when the book first came out, I did have quite a run of homeopaths there going, I could give you a homeopathic for that condition. And I go, yes, but if it wasn't in these books and matched this ones, we weren't using it. So don't be offended. You dilute them with bases. Now, in the attachments I sent across, I sent over a couple of recipes. You can use those, or you can use your homeopathic base of just alcohol and pure water, or the Bach flowers dilution, which for a 25 ml bottle is 3 ml of vodka or brandy, or whatever your poison is, 17 ml of pure water, and your concentrate, 5 ml of concentrate. And then we succuss them, and our magic number is 40. Okay. Now, we as practitioners succuss them. Your clients do not need to succuss the formulas each time they take the remedy. Someone in New Zealand is telling their poor clients to do it 40 times before each time they take their 3 drops. I have hit a few of them who have just said, no, not that. I haven't got time to succuss 40 times. And I go, no, you don't do that. You just give it a little shake or hit it against your hands once or twice and then take your drops like this. And, you know, nice, easy to take. Doesn't matter if it's under the tongue or in the mouth. You can put it into water bottles. You can even put it into coffee or tea. So the usual precautions of years ago, people were worried they could negate a homeopathic remedy, and you'd have to be 15 minutes away from cleaning your teeth or having a coffee. That don't have to worry anything like that with Homeobotanicals. You can even put it in your coffee if you so desire. And oh yes. So here we have our 25 ml bottle. you put in your 5 mils of concentrate, then your base, and we're leaving a little area up by the shoulder and the base of the dropper, and that is to succuss, give room for succussion. If you're not getting results with Homeobotanicals, it can often be you're not succussing it enough. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate, ask them.
Sure. Good question. No, not yet.
And this is an example. So you've taken a case and you're using 3 formulas. So one of the formulas you will do 2 mils of, and you could do, say, 2 mils of A, 2 mils of B, 1 of C, or you could do 3 mils of C, 1 of A, 1 of B. However, you've taken the case, and that will dictate what formulas you want and the strength or intensity of the client's symptoms, which will indicate how strong a formula you want. We had over here, we've had early in the year, we had cyclones and communities were heavily devastated. So we did an emergency formula, which we had been developed when Christchurch happened, the big earthquake down there about 15 years ago. And it was a combination of HBE, 6 and 19, and they were equal parts. So instead of doing 5 mils, I used to get students to do 2 mils of each, which gave us 6 mils. But in an emergency situation, that was the easiest way to make it in bulk, so you could send it out to the areas. And on that note too, if you're in an area that is affected by drought, wildfires, cyclones, and emergency situation of any degree, and you need help or you want help for your community, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We'll always try to support you where we can and give you product. So yeah, just like everyone else does, we want to get you, I've always had the belief that if you kept the practitioner busy and able to get back onto work and take care of their communities, we had a more healthier outcomes for the communities. So, and in Napier and Gisborne, we've definitely seen that. And with Gisborne, the feedback has been they've suddenly hit a second wave. People who had been going, no, I'm fine, I'm good, I don't need help. 6 months in are going, I can't cope. And so they just contacted us and we sent another lot of formulas out for them to utilise. So it's a nice one to write down and save in your little books of, if this happens, this is a nice little formula to use. Now, Homeobotanicals are considered a very safe modality, but as I mentioned, does help to be aware of drug-herb interactions. And you can Google it or go on. In New Zealand, it's MedSafe. I don't know if TGA has a practitioner site where you can enter in your the medications and get a printout of their side effects. But it's just handy to know, and herbal companies will do it too. As I mentioned, if someone's on complicated medications, such as antidepressants, warfarin, or immune suppressants, I start low and increase gradually. I'm quite okay if my patient is on prednisone. I have no problems prescribing Homeobotanicals to go alongside that. But it's really more the anti-rejection drugs that I worry about, simply because I don't think we've got the experience yet. But if you're unsure or don't know where to start, rule of thumb, start low, increase gradually. you cannot go wrong. It's much easier to go up the scale than it is to come down the scale. That makes sense. And, you know, if your client's on warfarin or antidepressants, it's a good idea to monitor them, get them to email you on day 3 or day 5 and say, yeah, with how they're going. If they're on warfarin or thyroxine or different thyroid medications, often they can arrange with doctor to get extra blood tests just for that week or 2, so we can double check nothing's going wrong. I did have a client or practitioner in Australia who contacted me, and she wanted to use HVs, and the patient had Graves' disease, and she told me she couldn't monitor the patient. And I said, well, if you can't monitor them, then you shouldn't be prescribing them. You know, to me, monitoring is so simple. Mrs. Jones, you know, it's day 3, ring in between this time and give me an update on how you're going. Yeah, or send a letter with Mrs. Jones to doctor, dear doctor, I'm introducing a formula. Well, I'm not expecting anything to untoward. Would it be possible to arrange an extra blood test so we can double check that we're not affecting the levels? Doctors are usually quite good at prescribing. If anything, they think we're sensible. Because as you all know, we're not sensible. We all fly around on broomsticks around the cauldron like hell. But you know where I'm coming from. If you treat them with respect and ask politely, you tend to get much more of a result than if you go, I want this test for Mrs. Jones. They'll go, royal salute and out the door. At least they would in New Zealand. I assume Australia's the same. If Mrs. Jones should ring up and say, oh, I'm wondering if I'm having a reaction, then rule of thumb is we stop for 48 to 72 hours and then recommence at a lower dosage. We also review the client's notes. As Mrs. Jones forgot to tell us that she's on any additional medication or that there's a gastro bug going through the family at the moment, in which case the diarrhea she's expecting is not likely to be from her drops, but from the bug that's going through the family.
That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not always us. You know, I had one client very early when I was starting up clinic, and she hadn't mentioned that she had been treated for kidney cancer till her 3rd appointment. And I was wondering why my kidney formula was not getting good results. Well, I had to reformulate, didn't I? And cover extra things to help support her, and, you know, ask to see what tests doctor had been doing and what treatment results and what level she was, because Mrs. Jones was just in severe shock. So we have all these lovely, interesting challenges. Remember, we're detectives in natural health. We're usually one of the few people who take time with their clients, because doctors only have 10 minutes. We have an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever time we allow. So we can get down and dig down and find out several things about our clients that doctors miss or may not consider important. So just remember that as you go into practice. So review client notes. If your client is pregnant, I always start on the lower end. So I'll start at 1 drop 3 times a day and bring them up to 3 drops 3 times a day. And yeah, if they're on thyroid medication or warfarin, arranging that extra 1 or 2 testing is a good way to protect yourself. Now, I don't know about you guys in Australia, but over here, quite a few associations recommend that you do a disclaimer too, which is our insurance companies have done. I've reworded mine to say that they must for me if they have had, been exposed to COVID and that, because our insurance companies over here aren't going to cover any communicable disease, and that could include the common cold. So I'm just getting a little disclaimer done. Like I said, I can't speak for how Australian associations do it, but it could be worthwhile having a chat and see what they recommend. Formulas to be aware of. HBY. If we don't have golden seal, we're doing a combination of barberry and horopito. Horopito is a New Zealand herb that is very good for fighting candida, killing it off. Now, this one, we recommend you do not go over 3 drops 3 times a day, mainly because of the die-off. If you want to inflict it on yourself, feel free, but do not do it to your clients. So, especially if they've undergone cancer treatments, I'll start them off at 1 drop daily. Or if they've had systemic candida and they've come to me in clinic for that, those ones I definitely start off at 1 drop daily. And even 1 drop daily can be too strong for them. You may need to combine with another formula or start them back down at 1 drop weekly and slowly bring them up. But just be aware of that one. And with my pregnant ladies, I definitely do start them at 1 drop 3 times a day.
Bernadette, can you just say again, Horopito? How do you spell it?
Horopito.
What is it?
Horopito.
Horopito.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, it's on the slide. It's Horopito. It's a New Zealand native.
Ah, right. It's hidden behind the little yeah, that's all right.
Sorry, I'll see if I can move it.
Oh, sorry, that's from our end.
It's the video.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's a lovely herb, but in New Zealand, it's considered more anti-candida herb. But it's also great for pain and multitude ways for infection and that. So it's a really good one to use. So, now, the W is a worm and parasite. In my clinic, I often get ladies who come in who are trying for babies, and quite a few who have had multiple miscarriages. So I'm super careful during pregnancy. So I'll use the W in preconception, and I'll use it when they're breastfeeding, but I try not to use it during pregnancy. And the female hormones, the F and the F plus, I normally, as soon as they tell me they're pregnant, I stop it. I believe Mother Nature is wiser than us. And but if they've had a history of losing a baby at, say, week 8, then I'll keep them on the formula to week 10 or week 12 and then bring them off. So I want to stabilize the pregnancy in those cases. And all my ladies, if there's anything left in the bottle when they ring up to tell me they're pregnant, I get them to put the bottle in the fridge or in the back of the pantry. So if they feel like they're doing some spotting or there's a threatened miscarriage, that they've got some drops to take straight away. Now, before we go on through the formulas and how you can use them, Linlee, you were asking about mother tinctures.
Yeah.
Shall we go look at those at this point?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the mother tincture, as far as I'm aware in homeopathy, remembering I'm not a homeopath, is your cues,
Oh,
your cue level.
Oh, mother tincture, which has that.
oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Q's a little bit different. That's the
That's 50 millisimal.
50 millisimal, isn't it?
You mean the 0 with the slash through it? Is that what
I'm not sure. Over here, they're just a little cue that comes on my homeopathics from India. So
Because we use those as 50 millisimols, and it's like QO1, QO2, QO3.
okay, it could be a different system again. Don't quote me on it.
It
So
might
I'll
be
talk
different.
about a mother tincture from a homeopathic point of view. We'll put that aside and I'll do herbal instead. I thought I could be smart. I should have known it was Friday. Don't do it. Okay. In herbals,
Well, because I always assumed it was taken like the tincture is herbal tincture, and then you turn it into a homeopathic.
Yeah, there's this.
But it's different.
I've been trying to find out. Yeah.
you know,
Sorry.
yeah.
Let's see, or there's some kind
Trying to
of.
think of the Australian homeopath. Is it Goldman? Gold?
Isaac Golden.
Isaac Golden.
Yeah, that's it. He
He's the
would
guy.
probably be the person to ask.
Hmm.
Okay.
How's that for passing on the buck?
Sounds good.
From a herbal perspective, herbal tinctures come in different ratios. The majority are a 1:2, but you can get a 1:1, and some of the really strong blends that are formulated can be a 2:1 or a 4:1. So depending on what you want in a formula and the herb you want, what ratios and how you assemble your formula. I wouldn't really call them mother tinctures. To me, if I want a herb that's a 1:2, you're looking at 1 part herb to 2 parts alcohol in the extraction method. So it's different again on how we would view it. Does that make sense, or am I confusing you even further?
Yeah. No, that's fine. My homeopathic brain's at war with my herbal brain.
Yeah. A lot of herbals have have been moved into homeopathy. And that's actually why I think it's wonderful that homeopathy and herbals combination has, been around and worked so well, because it gave us the best of both worlds. I always look at Homeobotanicals, the power of herbs, safety of homeopathy. So herbal tinctures that I couldn't use because of drug-herb interactions, I can dispense as a Homobotanical.
I think it totally makes sense, doesn't it, when golden seal and echinacea, have been, taken out of the wild, and they're trying hard to farm them and replace them, aren't they? But that's a time when it really makes sense to.
They're very sustainable.
It is sustainable. It's safety, and if you were to ask the herbalist about Homeobotanicals, they'd say more homeopathic than herbs. If you ask most homeopaths, they'd go more herbal than homeopathic. We're really in the middle. We're no man's land, which is why I describe us as a hybrid. It is its own modality. We've taken the best of both modalities, put it together, and have this amazing form. And the best part is you can use it alongside your herbal tinctures, or you can use it alongside homeopathy. It's not going to knock out your homeopathics. In fact, over here, quite a few homeopaths are using Homeobotanicals while they're looking for the perfect constitutional remedy, because they know they can support the person, and it's not going to, when they add in the constitutional formula, that's not going to upset anyone. So it's good way to have a look. How are we going time-wise? How's your energy levels, ladies? Do you want to go through a few of the formulas on how to use it?
Do that.
Okay. This one we're going to kick off is respiratory. And if you've got your charts printed out, you'll see A for allergy. Now, on the charts too, we've only put the main herbs, mainly because if we put them all, as well as your reading glasses, you need a magnifying glass as well. Or a chart that's going to take up the whole of your wall, neither, which is really sensible. But if you want the list of all the herbs in the thing, in the formulas, I can send them through to you.
That would be great, actually, if you don't mind. Just love to.
And they're also in the front of the Materia Medica. So, you know, but if I forget, Linlee, please send me an email to remind me.
Yeah, sure, okay.
I'm seminars all weekend, so you know. It's
yeah.
Yes. So A for allergy, great for hay fever, sinusitis. The only time I wouldn't recommend using this or relying on this is if someone was having an anaphylactic reaction. Quite frankly, where their EpiPen is, apply it, call an ambulance, and get them to hospital. As someone who has anaphylactic reactions, believe me, I don't want you to waste your time giving me A. Get the ambulance. So I would not use and nullify a peanut allergy.
So in the HbA, are there micro doses of, for example, peanut or what?
No.
What are the main ones in the allergy?
In the A, hang on, I'll need to get my reading glasses.
Okay.
Downside of getting older, I've had to succumb to them. We're just using herbs, so it's Albizia, Basilica skullcap, canine, elderflower, eyebright, goldenrod, and golden seal. Slash barberry if we haven't got golden seal. So it's done more from a herbal form. If you wanted to neutralize different ones, then you would look at your homeopathics and add them alongside your formula. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Colds and mucus. Think of a child with the grotty nose, green discharge. The keynote. So it's colds and catarrh anywhere in the body, but specifically the respiratory system here. So I use this formula to see sometimes if there's catarrh in other parts of the body, not just the respiratory system. So whether it's the urinary system, fallopian tubes, I'll try it for that as well to assist my clients. The R is for respiratory, upper respiratory asthma. Now, we all know we do not tell our patients to stop their medication. We all know it, and I'm reminding you. So, but the goal should be that we get the person into wellness, so they need less medication. And I've found this myself, because when I lived in Australia 33 years ago, I was on 4 different asthma sprays. And with coming over to New Zealand and using HBs and acupuncture, I do use an asthma spray occasionally, but it's not a regular thing for me anymore. My HBs normally do the trick. And if not, I go and visit my acupuncturist. And if she kind of pulls rank on me and says, I think you need some help this time, then I will see a doctor. But believe me, from going down from 4 different asthma sprays daily down to 1 occasionally is a big shift. and I'm very happy with that. I is for the immune system. Now this can be used as a prophylactic in a formula or to boost your immune system if there's a bug going around. With COVID, we also extended it a little by adding some maritime pine as a HB single to boost it. As we know, we don't treat things like that. We're just supporting the immune system. But yeah, it's proved quite an interesting HB single. One of my Australian students sent me in some lovely case studies, and she used maritime pine, spike protein issue, helping patients get through long COVID. So yeah, it was a good one to add in with the HBs. Then we have ocular. Now, yes, ocular is for eyes, and I put it in a lot of formulas because as well as being great for eyes, it's soothing and anti-inflammatory. So I use it quite a bit in all different ways. And I've put it in here to just kind of show you how you can stretch your formulas and look at the herbs that are in it and think, how can I utilize this better? And then we have X for cough. And that is a really good one. I often use X and 16 for people with emphysema. It's a nice one to just help them through the stage when they get to more palliative care stage. So then you'll need to add in the N or the N plus for the chest pain, the lung pain that they're getting. But it's a nice one to just help. Right. And then we have number 7. And this, to me, until COVID was really underutilized, but it's come into its own quite a bit. It's a recovery, a post-viral formula, convalescence. Simon Mills, the English herbalist, has said we've lost the art of treating convalescence and allowing people to recover. So this is
I think as a general population, the whole of the world has forgotten what convalescence is.
Yes.
Yeah.
We know very much about trying to get back to work quickly, but we've forgotten about hanging out, chilling out, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, you might want to write down this little formula. If you're at the conference, you'll be getting, if you come to the table, you'll be getting a sample of it. It's got in it number 1, number 7, number 13, RGH, and TNH. And it's 1 ml of each for a 25 ml bottle. And it's called Revive and Thrive.
Oh, so do you mind just calling them out again, Bernadette?
Yeah. Number 1, which is Cerebra, so it's memory. Number 7 for recovery. Number 13, which is Spectra, rainbow drops, and it's an emergency blend, and it's also a chakra blend. Think of all the colors of a rainbow. It's a chakra. Only took me 20 years to realize that. And then you've got RGH, which is a New Zealand native, and TNH. RGH is for general well-being, and TNH is for energy. And after Auckland did its 104-day lockdown, we kind of came into the office and we're all looking at each other going, can't get motivated, too tired. What are we going to do? Who really cares? And so one of my beautiful naturopaths, Sue, is a really good formulator. And she said, how about we put a formula together? So we all sat down and threw out what we'd like and what would work. And this has been proven quite a good one. Some of the homeopaths here have told me that they felt it helped them get through the actual COVID infection better. It's helped energy. I take it most days, just once in the morning or mid-afternoon if I'm feeling a bit flat, just to keep myself going. But it's a really, really good one. But think of number 7 as also your end of term, feeling run down, or, oh my God, it's Monday morning. It's a nice one to have in formulas to just support your clients.
So did you say number 7 is the rainbow drops?
No,
It's 13.
number 13 is the rainbow drop.
Okay.
It's called Spectra on the label, and that was simply because when Brian was looking at copyright, we couldn't use the word rainbow in Australia because it was copyrighted. Who knows?
Yep.
Don't know how you can copyright a rainbow, but obviously I'm a bit thick. Now, number 14 is our antiviral, antimicrobial. It's propolis and myrrh. In the book, in the Materia Medica, it's got a disclaimer to beware, propolis is a bee food. That is not something that I have ever had a problem with, but it has been designed because the book gets sold and taken all around the world. We've had to cover our butts from a legal point of view, especially in the States where they sue at the drop of the hat. And so that disclaimer is in there. What I do if someone tells me the anaphylactic reaction to bees, I give them a drop in clinic and make them sit out in my waiting room for 20 minutes, half an hour, and I go and check on them. I do have anaphylactic reactions to bee stings. I have never had a problem with it. It's one of my formulas that's usually in my travel case and everything. So, yeah, but I just, again, have mixed careful with clients. But, and on that note too, and if you didn't have number 14, you could also put together, or I often put together Y and 18. Because why? Because of the golden seal. So the yeast formula is golden seal or barberry, antimicrobial. And number 18, though it's for warts, what is warts? But a virus. So it's an antiviral formula. An American colleague of ours, she got caught in COVID, and during that time where we couldn't send supplements out, to anyone, even if you were outside of New Zealand, and she used number 12. And when she submitted her cases, I go, do you mind explaining why you use number 12? And she goes, yeah, sure. My tutor told me at college that at any time I didn't have number 14, to try number 12, it'll often do the trick. So she said, I didn't have number 14, but I had number 12, so I put it formula. So, you can use things different ways. So it's good. And remember, all these, you could use, put the concentrate, they were talking about it as drops. You can all put any of the concentrates into a cream or a gel and make your own formulas up as well to apply topically. And then we have Pleura, deep lung. Pleurisy, great formula for our older clients or really vulnerable clients to put in to support everything. Then we have the immune system. And again, allergy is there, A for allergy, B for the blood and lymph, it's blood purifier. You've got your immune system formula there. We've got number 14 again, very similar. Number 3 is first aid. And I consider it the herbal combination similar to an aconite. So think of it as a first symptom remedy. So if you're feeling a bit off colour, I'd often, and I think, oh, okay, I've been at conference. There was 300 of us there. Wonder what the hell I've come down with. I'll often put number 3 and 13 together to just help boost everything and get on top of it. And obviously, if I'm feeling unwell, I'm taking it hourly. So I'm doing it as an acute rather than a chronic. Number 3 is also very good for helping to lower temperatures. Now, Yeah, you ladies have belladonna and other formulas available to do the same, so you could combine it if you so desire. As I mentioned, number 13 is an emergency formula, and it's balancing up the chakras, the energy systems of the body. So it's a nice one. When I was studying it originally, number 13 was considered just a child's formula. And, you know, if you got a child in clinic and you didn't know where the hell to start, you put number 13 into a formula for it. And then going back probably 7 years now, 10 years, in the UK, in the chat rooms, some of people were using number 13 to support their clients with seasonal disorder. And a bit slow at times. I thought, that's interesting. I thought, I'd always known that the parents who shared their kids' formulas that had number 13 would often come back and go, I need number 13 in, you know, the rainbow drops in my formulas, thank you. And I had never connected the dots. And so I pulled out some really old cases and read them, and yeah, some of these women were on antidepressants. So it was actually bringing them back into balance where they were felt more in control. And so I kind of slapped myself over the face a couple of times and thought, silly woman, didn't connect it. But it's one of those things, you never stop learning. Someone else is going to have a different way of looking at things. It's really great. So we have number 14, again, antiviral, antimicrobial. Just on the immune system too, number 14 is really good if there's dental infections or to soak your toothbrush in some number 14 in water and leave it there for an hour or so. It's a good way to just kill any bacteria. So you can use it as a mouthwash. Now, really young kids can't gargle. I'm sure you all know that. But, you know, I get them to put them in the mouth and blow bubbles. See if they can be a little bubble fish. And that's one way of getting it, and then they can swallow it if they so desire. As you can see, I've put the caution about immune suppressive drugs. And, you know, remember, you can, it's Homeobotanicals is a core modality, so you can add in your homeopathics, your favorite supplements, and dietary recommendations. You know, sometimes cutting back down the dairy or the gluten while the kids are really cooked can help get them through it faster. From a naturopathic point of view, that would be a yes. Whether you can manage to get mothers to do it will be another question. The nervous system, well, we've got E for emotion. The emotions. Now, Brian has always said that this should be in everyone's formulas. And it's not wrong. It does help with emotional stress. And, you know, we look at COVID, just how much stress we were and our clients and our whole communities were under. So that one is a good one to use. Now, E has got some valerian in. Normally it shouldn't affect anyone. You know, you may or may not be aware, sometimes valerian tincture or valerian tablets, instead of helping people relax and calm down and go to sleep, there's a group of us that get overexcited on it and can't sleep. Homeopathic gave me one dose of 200C valerian, and I could not hardly sleep for 2 weeks.
Really?
And it was We had tried the coffee, the peppermint, the Vicks, you name it. We'd tried other homeopathics. And I can remember going to one seminar, and one of my old classmates pulling me aside and going, what the hell? That's 260 valerian. Have you done the Vicks? Yes, didn't work. If it's the right formula, it doesn't knock it out of the system, let me show. But so I can handle E in my formulas, no trouble at all. But if you had someone who was really sensitive, more sensitive than me, you might want to use number 19 instead. It's designed for everyday stress and doesn't have valerian in. And as an interesting side effect for number 19, if you've got animals that freak out with electrical storms, or children that freak out with electrical storms, number 19 has been proven quite useful for helping the animals through. We have M for migraine and headaches in general. This is a brilliant formula. But all the herbs in it are also supporting the liver. So if you had someone who was reacting to liver herbs, or said, oh, I'm really sensitive each time I take anything, well, they mess around with my liver, I react, then I'd start them on M. So that's just another good one. Or if you had a prem baby and had jaundice and the midwife wanted to use L, I usually start them on M, move across to L if we need to, but usually M is enough to help the situation. Yeah. N and N plus are both our pain formulas. With the N plus has Pukatea and Horopito in it. Now, the difference between the two, I consider the N is more like my Panadol, and the N plus is more my codeine or morphine. So, you know, everyone's pain levels and interpretation of pain is different. So I often say to them, if you had to grab pain relief, would you go for it? Would a Panadol be enough, or would you need something stronger? If I say I need something stronger, I start them on the N plus. If I go, no, Panadol would control it, I start them on the N. If you're dealing with cancer patients or chronic pain patients and the N plus is not working well enough, you then can move on to a HB single of Pukatea or Pukatea and Horopito. Pukatea is another New Zealand native, and over here it's got the nickname as the herbal equivalent to morphine, but without the side effects. By the way, I'm not, this is not for the TGA to hear. But it is a nice little New Zealand native. It's very hard to get. It's wildcrafted, but it has amazing results for our cancer patients, to the point that they will need less morphine. They can still take their morphine tablets or their syrups or drips, pain pumps, but they'll need less of it. So just a little additional information for you. And then we've got HBO for ocular, the eyes, macular degeneration, must be due for a coffee. Or general eye strain, you've worked on the computer for doing assignments for 8 hours straight and the eyes are going, what the hell, oh, I'm seeing dots now. This one will help get you through it. Q helps quieten the nervous system and will assist for sleep. If you take it during the day, it is not going to make you fall asleep. If you need that level of help, I suggest wild lettuce as a HB single. That'll definitely help put you to sleep. But this will help just take the edge off the nervous system. So with my elderly, I'll say, look, start mid-afternoon, dinner, as you go to bed, leave the formula beside the bed. So if you wake up during the middle of the night, you can take it again. Remember that you can add in extra supplements like magnesium, that to help them relax as well. And then you have T for tiredness, which is self-explanatory. Now, end of term assignment time, we're exhausted, not just the students, but the tutors too. Then you've got the Z for energy. And adrenal support, you can add it in with the T, you can do all sorts of things. Number 1 is cerebra, which helps with memory. Now, I took this, I had a massive head injury about 12 years ago, and I lived on this, my HBs for 3 years, because I had to teach myself to add up and write sentences, and to a certain degree learn to speak. I'm still, pronunciation is still not quite there some days, but you know, I used it quite a lot to just help the brain keep going. So don't be afraid to use it long term. It's very good too with elderly relatives or elderly clients who are getting that little bit forgetful. Putting number 1 in their formulas is a good way of helping them. It won't, you know, I'd be using my supplements as well, ginkgo or whatever homeopathic that you feel is appropriate. It's not likely to help when they've moved into Alzheimer's, but if we can slow down that progression, it's worth trying. Number 13 we've covered, and number 19 for Serena, everyday stress, and like I said, works great for animals. Students, there is a memory study blend here for you, a little recipe. Now remember, you need to start it about 6 weeks before the exam, and you still need to study. I'm sorry, it's not going to get you through without studying. And I've put together down there a headache or a migraine remedy. Originally, when I learnt the formulas way back in the distance, M and N, so migraine and neuralgia, were used quite regularly for migraine pain, headaches. And then I got caught out visiting a practitioner in Victoria, and her darling grandson threw a rock, which landed on my head, just what I needed. Went back to grandma's clinic. She didn't have any N left, so we put together M, number 11, and number 6, and that proved to be quite a good headache formula. Remember, you can always add in any of your flower essences, whether that's bark, Australian bush flowers essence, gemstone essences, whatever ones that you're drawn to, you can add them in. Cardiovascular. Any questions so far? I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. Have I lost you yet?
No, we're good.
This is a quick review of Homeobotanicals. You did want that, didn't you?
Yes, no, this is good.
So cardiovascular has to be blood and lymph in there. You know, they're the movers and the groovers. If the blood isn't going through the body well, then oxygen supply is down, nutrients are down, toxins build up. So we need the blood supply to really be going well. And originally, B was used also for cholesterol problems, but now we blend in B and number 23 together. H is obviously for blood pressure. And originally, Brian designed the H for high blood pressure and the T for low. But he'd always said practitioners, he put the formulas together and practitioners taught him how to use it. So we kind of got things and said, there's a tiredness whether you've got high blood pressure or low blood pressure. So why don't we use the two together? Because the herbs are very similar and will support either high or low. And so most times we combine H and T together. V is a very useful one. Think of varicose veins, spider veins, hemorrhoids. You can mix the V concentrate up with an HB single of polewort and make it into a cream or a lotion, which is really good for hemorrhoids. We couldn't get polewort for a while, but I've managed to find the source. So we're back to using that and gets great results for that type of issue. So V you would be giving it as internally as drops, but also making up a cream or a gel. W is here because it's got garlic in. Most times I would go for a garlic supplement, but if I had someone who had no money to buy supplements, then I would use W in the formula to help support them. But I'd also encourage them to use the garlic in their foods and that to make sure that we were getting great ones across. Number 11 is for spasms, and that's spasms anywhere in the body. If someone is getting chest pain, but remember it does need to be investigated to eliminate heart attacks. So, yeah. But if we know they've got the likes of, say, angina or something, making sure that number 11 is in the formula will help. Remember your homeopathics as well, or your polycrests. You know, I use a lot of the heal formulas every so often as required. Then you've got 19 for, as I mentioned, for stress. Then we have 21, 22, and 23. Now, these are interesting formulas. They're known as carcinoma 1, 2, and 3. So, but don't consider them just as put to support your cancer patients. So the way I look at it is they're amazing blood purifiers, but if I then look at supporting for my cancer patients, I look at 21 as more my fast moving cancers that are going to spread fast, and 22 is more my slower endocrine cancers that tend to move. So 21 is fast, 22 is slowest. In clinic, I would combine them both together because I had a discussion a few years back in Australia, and everyone said, well, we don't know if a cancer is fast moving or slow moving. Why don't we combine the two? Which most of us were already doing, but someone vocalized it. So that would be the norm now. 23 was designed to be a palliative care or prophylactic formula. So if there was a family history of, say, bowel cancer or breast cancer, we'd use the number 23 as in a formula to support them, along with, say, beef and blood and lymph. But it had an interesting side effect. It can lower cholesterol. And how we found this out was Brian and Amy Murray, as they were getting older, cholesterol creeped up and the doctor wanted them on statins. And Brian kind of said, must be something in my range that'll do it. So he decided to try out 23, and they kept up their butter, creams, chocolate, all their foods, and still got a lower dose. As Brian said, if he was to cut that out, it wasn't a valid review of whether it worked. So they kept it. And yeah, it did quite well with it. So it's a handy one to know. Obviously, they'll need a couple of months before they go in for retesting to check their cholesterol level. It's not going to be a fast one. But there's other supplements around that you can get through the likes of Eagle and and different supplement companies that will help assist with lowering cholesterol. So you could combine them quite nicely. I'm sure you ladies will know a few homeopathics that will assist the situation as well.
Lycopodium.
And I'm very big on CoQ10, ubiquinol. You know, the heart is a muscle, mitochondria needs support. So I'm very big on CoQ10 and obviously magnesium. With CoQ10, I keep telling my ladies that, you know, it's in our face cream, so we might as well take it internally as well. And anti-aging. So ladies, if you want to get shots,
Right.
my husband won't pay for the facelift, so I have to think of these things. So it's but, you know, the dosages I look at is if they're on statins, if they're taking their statins in the morning, they're doing their CoQ10 at night or ubiquinol. Normally 150 milligram is ample, but if they've had a recent cardiac event, I might put them up to either, you know, 400 to 600 milligrams for a short time too. I know everything's under control, and then cut them down. Any questions there? Because that's a big one.
We'll probably have kinds of questions once you finish. But no, that seems pretty straightforward so far.
Yeah. Now the F and the F plus in the reproductive system. If you've listened to Liz Laylaw, she uses these in her formulas as part of her regime. And the difference being that the F plus has peony, so that will help with more our endometriosis. Ladies, that band of ladies that have huge clots every time they have their menses, that's the way to go. If you didn't have F plus, the F will do the same trick. Just take a little bit longer. It is, if you're using it for preconception, your ladies really need to be on HBs for at least 3 months before I review it. And I often, you know, do F, E, and Z, and depending on what comes out in clinic, you know, it might be 3 mils of F, 1 of E, 1 of Z, or it could be 2 of F, 2 of Z, 1 of E. It depends on what's happening with my ladies. And obviously with my ladies too, because of, as I mentioned, quite a few of them have had miscarriages, I do ABLK, which is allergy, blood, liver, and kidney, because I want to make sure that the liver and kidneys are working well enough to support a pregnancy. I do use other formulas as well, you know, if there's likely to be an issue with STDs in the past, I'll often use Y and W together as well, just for 1 month, but that month they must use protection. I don't want my ladies falling pregnant and then losing a baby, because W being a parasite cleanse, and what is a little baby but a parasite? Takes all the goodness out of the mother. So I want to do as much protection around them things. But so yeah, I have quite a big setup on how I use them, but they need to be on for at least 3 months of the on the F to get. We need 3 cycles to know that we're achieving results, and I like them to check their temperature as well, because if their thyroid is underactive, then we need to tweak the body. If it's overactive, we need to also tweak the body and tone it down a little. So that's taking their temperature first thing in the morning and recording that. I always say leave it beside the bed. You know, you're allowed to play during the night, but first thing in the morning, you take your temperature, and then you can jump your husband or partner. But I want true numbers. don't give me false signs. And so it's that judgment call, you know. In TCM, if the womb is too old, a baby won't enter it from an old Korean TCM point of view. So, you know, I like to know where my ladies are going on that. And also allows me to just see, by taking their temperatures well and recording them, we're looking at when they're ovulating and what the thyroid's doing. And yeah, you get lots of interesting information from that you can utilize. And it's a lot cheaper than testing. Pancreas. Now, the pancreas, as we know, is not only involved with insulin, but it helps with the digestive system by releasing enzymes. So this is good for your type 2 diabetics, your pre-diabetics, your insulin resistance, your metabolic syndrome, all that case. And also, if they've got issues with digestion, then I often do DMP together. For type 1 diabetics, if they have just been diagnosed, then I would use the P and number 14 together. But if they've been a type 1 diabetic for a number of years, the likelihood of us getting the pancreas back working well is not really likely. It's a big ask. But if they've just been diagnosed, then we stand a better chance. Again, the Y is here for candida and yeast infections. Number 2 is a general tonic. This is useful all over the body. And it has bladderwrack and licorice in, which is also in number 12. And I had one Australian practitioner who combined the two, and unfortunately her client was on medication, and she started quite high on drops, because that's how whoever taught her Homeobotanicals did. And poor person nearly ended up in a thyroid storm. Hence the little message down here: the thyroid medication, start low and monitor. But you know, if you had someone on, you don't have to use the two together. You might just want to use one, but keep an eye on them. And if they're only taking medication 3 times a week, perhaps do the HBs on the day they're not taking medication. Number 4 is for male tonic. Yes, we have to get one in for the boys somewhere. And it is really good for all ages and abilities. When combined with number 7, from a fertility or preconception point of view, we're aiming to just make sure that for sperm, it's got nice and active, and you know, lots of numbers. So that's our goal there. With male preconception clients, I always ask if they're taking social drugs, because for some reason taking wacky just makes a lot of guys go to sleep rather than do their thing. So yeah. I saw that smile. So the goal is, you know, I just say it's a no guilt trip, but do you take social drugs? Because if so, we need to look at a detox. We need to work out how we're going to manage this. So it is one of the questions I ask. Remember with our males to check their zinc levels. I have turned up at the odd person's home after dinner to do a zinc tally test on a husband who would not come into clinic and do it. His wife was more than happy for me to turn up after dinner and clobber him. But you know, sometimes if they're low in zinc is required in over 500 different processes in the body. The sperm uses a lot of zinc up. We need to make sure they're functioning well. Number 10 is really great for morning sickness, travel sickness, self-explanatory. I often combine D and number 10 together if we're doing it. I had one lady I saw this week. She just found out she was pregnant. She said, hadn't really been trying, thought I was just a bit off colour and had a bit of tummy bug. And she said, just by chance, I thought I should check. And she was pregnant. And she goes, I'm feeling really, really queasy. So we made her up 10 and D, and her energy levels had slumped. So I had put in Z in the formula too to help her with that. So that seems to be doing the trick. Fingers crossed. I started her off on 3 drops and said, if you don't like the taste of it, add it into a bit of water or juice. Or, you know, if you feel it's too high, let me know and we'll start you down lower. So, yeah. Yeah, L's in here for spasms, period pain. You'd obviously do L, and you may need N or N plus. And then number 12 I've spoken about. Number 15 is lactate, to ensure good milk supply. Very useful for both animals and humans. I'll often blend it in with number 5 to just make it a little bit richer, and you could still do your breastfeeding teas with the nettle and that to make sure the nutrients are getting in. Please, oh please, if you're sending a bottle of concentrate to a family member who has no understanding on how to use HBs, remember to put directions in, because we did have a case in Australia 2 years ago where a mother had sent a formula over without instructions, and the daughter, took a teaspoon of it and then read the label. God only knows why. But then she was told by someone to drink 3 litres of water, and she did in one go and ended up in hospital. And then they did a toxicology one and found some wacky in her system. Trouble is, it wasn't in with the HBs because they tested that and we were clear. Yeah. If you're going to send concentrates out, please make sure there's directions for them. But you shouldn't be sending a concentrate out to a family member or a client. You should be dispensing that appropriately. How are we going time-wise? Oh, musculoskeletal, J for joints, all types of arthritis. If it's rheumatoid, you'd obviously look at what's the underlying one, work on the immune system or what else you needed to do. If it's general osteoarthritis or rheumatism, then J is going to be your main one, and you're going to add in pain if required. With my elderly, I'll often add in J and number 5 together because a lot of my clients, elderly clients, are on restricted foods. So, yeah, look at what they're doing. General exercise, how they're moving around. I do home visits with my elderly just to check up on them occasionally. But you can also use number 6 for trauma. Now, number 6 has got arnica in, so while we're taking that internally, it's homeopathic strength. It's the equivalent of a 5x. So it is homeopathic, but the cream activated range has got physical doses of arnica tincture in it. So you would not use any of the cream activators internally. I know some practitioners do, but I don't recommend it in any way, shape or form. And you can do some HB singles like Deviscore or boswellia to help with anti-inflammatory, and mix it in with the J as well.
So
Digestive.
Bernadette,
Yeah.
sorry, what's the capsa cream activator? What's that referring to?
Ah, this is the least favorite one. It's canine and arnica, and it was put together by Brian for shingle pain.
Oh,
It is intensive.
oh,
So if you've got an elderly person, I would be putting with frail skin, I would put barrier cream first and then put the capsa cream on top of it.
Okay.
If you're dealing with teenage boys or university age boys who are doing parkour, my son has a terrible experience with capsa. He put it on after a hot shower and then rang his mother 3 hours later to say, I'm in turns pain. It was too late to do anything. It was in the bloodstream. So I suggested he just get a bottle of rum and get drunk.
What a good.
Oh, Lord. So is this kind of trying to be
Mother of the Year award?
This is kind of trying to be like Tiger Balm or something, is it?
Yeah, it is potent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here, the doctors do a canine cream for shingle pain or joint pain. This is our herbal equivalent, but it is potent. So if you're making it up for a client, you're not washing your hands under hot water afterwards. It's cold water, and you advise your clients to do the same.
All about
It is one when we're making up a batch. I like the girls to wear safety glasses because my team are both naturopaths here. So yeah, I just go, you don't want that splashing, a drop of that splashing in your eye. Apart from the paperwork on ACC, it's like, just don't want to do it to yourself. So it is potent. And but it does work for that nerve pain that our clients get after shingles.
I just want to remind you also that it's 1:45, so we've got like 15 minutes left, just to say.
Yep. Okay. Most of these we have already gone through. D for digestion it's got gentian and different herbs in, so it's going to help support the digestive enzymes. And it has a side effect that if it's mild morning sickness, it'll often sort it out as well. Remember the ginger and the B6 supplements if you need to. And gastrointestinal, I only consider G should be a short-term formula. To me, if someone has that bad constipation, we need to find out what's the underlying cause. Is it that they're just not drinking enough water or having enough fiber in their diet, or is there an underlying problem? So, if you got little babies or children who are severely constipated, I'll often put the D and G together, and I give 1 ml of aloe vera juice as well, get mum to give them. Now, if you look on the labels, at least in New Zealand, I can't speak for Australia, they're labelled that are not recommended for children under 2. That's more that there's not the research to back it up, but clinically, I've used aloe vera for since I was in my 20s, and I've used it. An old naturopath in Queensland, North Queensland, he used to use it for his cancer patients, doing a aloe vera flush for, I saw him for ovarian cysts, and we sorted that problem by using high doses of vitamin C and aloe vera. So I'm an aloe vera girl. I'm very comfortable to prescribe it, but I know not everyone is. But that's just my trick with it. I've spoken alpha liver, and if you have someone who's sensitive, swap over with the M. Number 8 is for diarrhea. Now, again, that should be a short-term issue. So you could put D, G, and number 8 together. If it's the vomiting and diarrhea, you'd put 8 and 10 together to help your clients. Number 9 is a detox. Now, I like us to make sure that the liver and the kidneys are functioning and supported when you're detoxing. Because as we detox a person, we're actually making them more toxic in that first instance, because the toxins are coming out of the cell into the bloodstream. So if the liver and the kidneys aren't working to perfection, then you're going to hit a problem, or they're going to suffer a little. Remember, this is not the only detox formula. I often use the ABLK in number 9, and then follow it with the heal detox. If I think that, you know, there's a lot of things going on, I'm quite a fan of the heal detox, because I can drop it down drop-wise to suit the clients, and everything else there we've spoken on. Urinary system, K and U are your main formulas, and then you add it in. Now, K and U you can use if there's a family history of kidney disease, if there's a lot of edema, lymphedema, that'd be my main formulas. And 18 and 21 is very useful. And genital warts, remember, we don't treat STDs, we burn them into the clinic, but you can get good results with that. And likewise, if you get a lady who's got, it comes in and says, just had my annual pap smears, got a few changes happening, I'd do 18 and 21 internally as well as externally as a cream to supplement. Skin, for me to use S, I'm supporting the liver and the kidneys. But if I've got a little baby or someone with eczema and psoriasis, I tend to use 17 and O together as my main formulas, and everything else we've gone through. CCW is comfrey and chickweed. You've got GHC, golden healing cream. Think of hypercal cream. You've got your capsa there. Hurt, which is very similar to the GHC. And Anika Rue, which is a great one I made when my son was going through high school. I used to do a 500-gram tub of it for my donation to the hockey injury club. Remember, because it's got physical dose arnica in it, we do not apply it to broken skin. You'd put it around the healthy skin. And then you've got your detox formulas, which we've covered over. Blood, lymph, and kidney are your main ones. Number 9 was put together by Brian for more chemical poisoning, those people that needed detoxing. You can extend the detox formulas by using the foot patches. Yeah, that's a good little trick if you're dealing with oncology patients and the oncologist doesn't want them to be detoxing. I use the foot patches. And we're finished.
Oh.
How was that for a review?
That was good. Really interesting.
Yeah. So can you tell us about that further training? Talk us through that.
Well, we do a 2-day intensive, and that's usually, there's one next month in Mooloolaba. The online training is changing. Up to now, I've been doing live classes like we've got now, but moving to next year, we're going to pre-record the lectures, and so people can do it at their own pace and pay as they go type thing. So it's changing. It gives you a high intensive. You get your materia medica and your manual, and up to now, you also got a mini kit. So that'll still be available for 2-day intensive training, but moving forward, you'd have to buy the mini kit by yourself to keep prices down. But it allows, it's a high tension view, and you've got 12 months after you finish your lectures to go away and study. So in your case, with being homeopaths, you might want to delve deeper into herbal medicine and get a handle, read a couple of articles on it and get a good feel on herbal medicine. And likewise, if it was the flip side, a herbalist who knew nothing about homeopathics, I'd be giving a list of books out to just get a feel on homeopathy and how it worked. And then within that 12 months, we would like 6 case studies. Only has to be a page and a half max. Doesn't have to be a little manual of 24 pages like they do in naturopathic colleges. For some reason, that drives me insane reading that much. And it's not a true reflection of what you do in clinic, let's face it. And then you're awarded your certificate in home botanical therapy.
So when, like Mooloolaba, that'd be 2024, would it?
No, it's next month.
Oh, okay.
It's the weekend after college, but I will be doing, if there's enough interest next year, I will be doing one in Australia again. But otherwise, I'll just do one in Auckland and people can fly in. And,
Have you got that in the Aurum Project in the calendar?
we
Have
did
you put
try.
that in the calendar?
I'm not sure. I know I had the previous one when it was the hot pools down in Rotorua. But I'll double check. It was supposed to go into
Can you give Erica a little email and just ask, because I don't remember seeing it there, but I might have missed it.
Yeah. It's the weekend after the conference.
All right. So you just got to stay in Queensland.
Yeah, have a holiday. Those friends.
Homeopathic and herbal holiday.
But yeah, it's equally, if I'm also happy to travel, if you can get a group of 6 people in a location, then I'll come to you and teach a 2-day intensive.
Okay,
Right.
great.
It means that someone has to give up their clinic room or their reception area for me to do it there, which is another way moving forward too. But,
So who's got the job of getting 6 people together?
We can ask.
I'm
like,
sure
on
we
the
could
chat
reach out to our
yeah,
class.
we
We
can
could probably get that.
definitely,
Yeah.
even more.
So yeah,
so
so it kind of works when it suits you. Next year from mid-June to the end of July, I'll be in around the UK because I'm going over to the Homeobotanical conference in July over there. So since I'm traveling that far, so I'll have a holiday over there, do a cruise or something is the goal. But apart from that, the year is free.
And can you give us an idea of the cost for like a 2-day intensive?
It's 800 currently it's $850 New Zealand, but that comes with your Materia Medica manual, the mini kit, and I feed you over the weekend. So it's a light lunch, vegetarian and a meat option, morning tea, that. So yeah. And
So have you got a burning question?
if you're a student and anyone is interested, and if you contact me directly, so email me, we can do a student price for you as well.
And we've got a question.
Okay, so do you have a formula for like menopausal women, like hot flashes and some other symptoms?
Yeah, I do the F+, so 3 mLs, and then E and Z. Now, depending if it's the flush or a flash, do you know the difference? Or shall I tell you my difference? Hot flush is you're just going hot. The flash is you are so hot, you feel like you're going to pass out. Now, for those women, I also send them to the acupuncturist and get their thyroid points worked on. It usually takes 3 appointments with the acupuncturist. By then the herbs have kicked in and they're fine for another 6-12 months. But they do need to take their formulas, and you may need to play with the drops. So, you know, you might need to do 5 drops 3 times a day. You know, I look at B vitamins as well, and the B12 levels, just make sure everything's doing, that they are taking their supplements as well. But there's some lovely menopausal teas around that you can get. But yeah, every woman is slightly different, so you really need to tweak it a little. But yeah, I found in my case, because the acupuncture was really helpful to help bring the amount of time that before the herbs came in. Because I was one where I actually used to have to pull across, stop driving.
Oh,
I thought I was going to pass out. So, you know, I do understand when a woman says, "You might believe it." It's a flash, not a flush. So it is an interesting one. Yeah, look at their stress levels. Look how much, you know, tea and coffee, especially coffee, they're drinking. If they're doing a high spice diet, you'll need to tweak that. But you know, generally you can get them through it nice and easy.
John, good thanks.
Bernadette, thank you. Thank you.
That was awesome. That was really
Yeah,
great.
we really enjoyed that. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Remember, if you end up with a question or a client that you just don't know where to start, just say, "Look, I'm just going to check on this. I've got a couple of formulas in mind," and just email me and we'll make a time together and go over things.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your time, ladies. I'm sorry it was such a big topic. But
No,
we did get through it.
It's great.
thank you. Thank you.
And I'll see you at conference. Only a few weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Bye. See you
Okay.
later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
I wish I could go to the conference.